ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It is Hoist the Colors on a Thursday, July 2nd edition of the program. Excited to have you guys with us on the penultimate episode of the season. We're going to be taking our summer hiatus at the end of this week. This will be my last show. Philip Pilkington and Bobby Harvard will have you covered on Friday. Excited about the show. We're going to power rank all 12 ECU games on the football schedule in segments 2 and 3. We've done almost all of our opponent previews. And we're going to do number 12 right now. The final game of the regular season will be FAU at ECU. After Thanksgiving, we're going to go out to the live line, check in with Robbie LaStella, who covers the Owls for FAU Owls Nest. And Robbie, first off, welcome back. Secondly, I guess the American has a thing for closing the season with ECU and FAU. We did this last year in Boca. Now we get to do it in Greenville. So I don't know. Maybe this is the start of a new rivalry.
I guess they like keeping things interesting down the stretch. I know last game of the year was interesting at points, and then it just turned out being a lot of scoring there. But yeah, definitely. Good to be back on here with you guys, and yep, another season of FAU football for us over at FAU Owls Nest. So getting ready for it for sure.
So year 2 of Zach Kittley, and let's just briefly recap year 1. 4-8 was the final record. ECU fans might remember, winning it in pretty comfortable fashion in Boca. But I remember a team that was pretty pesky, and we'll get to some of the returners here in a little bit. But maybe better than the 4-8 record we remember. You covered it all season, obviously. What did you like? What did you dislike from year 1 of Coach Kittley?
Yeah, definitely. I think we saw definitely some proof of concepts in terms of the offense, what they hired him for. Bring some excitement, some explosion to the program. It was a lot of down years there between Tom Herman and Willie Taggart. And although last year 4-8 record wise, definitely they obviously would have preferred potentially to get back to a bowl game. It's a process, and I think we all saw enough in terms of the offense, at least to see what the vision is, and they definitely adjusted throughout the season. I think early on there was just some inconsistencies on both sides of the ball, and they never really got the run game going, and that kind of really put the offense in some tough positions at points. So they made a point to address that this off season. The defense definitely struggled at times last year, but like I mentioned, they definitely showed they made adjustments. And it wasn't going to be a glamorous year 1. I think they were working a lot, 2 new systems, a lot of new players, and there was just enough to see potential wise that they were able to keep a lot of these guys as well. That led to some of the success in year 1, and I think that's probably the biggest highlight is the retention, which even off of a down year is something you want and is not easy to get.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, Caden Veltkamp back at quarterback, Easton Messer, obviously, those two have a history together, and I mean, you just look around the American, Robbie, and most teams, those caliber of players get basically purchased through the transfer portal by the Power 4 or whatever. So, how much of a surprise was it they were able to retain them, and how crucial was that just in terms of selling Coach Kittley's vision for the program?
Yeah, definitely. Keeping them both is definitely a big surprise. Caden, I'm a little less surprised about, just because this offense is the perfect system to put up a lot of numbers in. He could have gotten a lot of money at a few different places, but there's no guarantee he would be in an offense where he's going to have a chance to have the output that he'll have. So there's a lot of around the program. There's a lot of optimism that Caden would stay. And I guess Easton Messer was kind of the wild card. There was definitely some hot pursuit of him out there from the power ranks. And I don't want to say wide receivers are dime a dozen, but there's definitely the ability for Easton to plug and play in an offense a lot more easier than Caden. But they were able to keep him both, and I think that shows the value of relationships. I mean, Caden and Easton are best friends, so that had a lot to do with it. They've been roommates and all that good stuff. And with Kitley as well, I think, they probably sat down and said, listen, you can go somewhere and you'll get a lot of targets, but here you're the number one guy and the offense will run through you. And we saw that last year. And this year will only be a chance to build on that. So definitely intriguing. I'm sure I know for a fact they probably both took a lot less money than they could have elsewhere to go back for another year in this offense. And that's why it's they're not aiming for the moon and the stars here, although I'm sure they are. But there's a chance for this year to be the best year in quite a while, I'd say, just based off the retention.
Talking with Robbie LaStella from FAU Owl's Nest. And Robbie, looking at Velt Camp, obviously last year the interceptions were a little high. I think FAU was minus 21 turnover margin, which is ridiculous, but maybe would point toward a bounce back season. So much of that would seem to be just watching the ECU game and some other games, like they had no running game, which you kind of referenced earlier, and also the O-line was just a little inconsistent. So what areas can Velt Camp grow in, and how much of that will be determined by what happens around him?
Yeah, definitely. He definitely was afflicted by a shoulder injury he suffered in the Memphis game. He had surgery on that in the off season, and he's fully healthy. He did sit out the spring period, but that was just kind of precautionary, I guess. But they do expect him to be full go and all that stuff. So that's kind of number one. They did. He by the end of the year he was definitely in some serious pain. They talked about that in the press conference after the ECU game specifically. So they got that addressed importantly. So now, the accuracy's got to be there, right? There's no injury there in terms of Caden. So this is, a veteran year for him. He's got to be able to make those tough throws that make Kitley's offense what it is. There's a lot of ball placement, a lot of timing stuff that, the air raid is just, go out and score a lot of points, but, there's a lot that goes into that. So Caden's definitely got to be able to be accurate, but I think, you mentioned the offensive line. There's some good retention there, and there was also some additions as well to kind of, smooth things out, hopefully, on the offensive line front. Although at the G5 level, you never know. You never really know what you're going to get there. But the running back room is definitely something I'm a little more intrigued about. They went and got Leonard Farrow from the D2 level. He had a really, really solid season, has had a solid couple of years at Fairmont State. He's an athletic guy, really going to be an impact player, at least they hope. I'm not sure how much of a receiver he's going to be. That's what I'm kind of keeping an eye on. If they can have a running back as well to kind of, that dump off that when the offensive line is getting, when struggling a little bit, to have that running back to, make plays in space. They didn't really have that last year. So I'm interested in that. And they also retained Caden Shields-Dutton. He's kind of more of a bruiser. But those two together should be able to give them a little bit more than they had last year in the run department. So, definitely hope the run game, gives them more of a boost, because Caden can be as accurate as he wants. You need a run game in Kitley's offense. That's something that goes under the radar as well with the air raid. But the run game, if that's solid and Caden's accurate, the offensive line will be the kind of biggest question mark. But, they like what they've got there. They retained Vinny Fiacable, who entered the transfer portal last year. He was the starting center, transfer from Indiana, kind of a glue guy there in the interior, big corn guy from the Midwest. And, now they retain him. They get to move him to left guard because he's kind of interchangeable. And then they have a new center this year, Braden Cunningham, as well. He was in the program last year, was in the running to be the starting center, but they opted with Vinny. So little retention right there. They keep Jacavian Nonar, their left tackle, and then the left guard and the right tackle positions are what we'll be watching. But if things go to plan, there's definitely the retention, the additions, and if Caden can kind of just play his best game, there's a lot of optimism offensively this year for sure.
Defensively, they gave up, I think, 36 points per game last year, Robbie. Same coordinators back, and I recognize a lot of these names coming back, and it looks like they've added a lot of additions there too. So what are fair expectations on defense? Like, how do they just need to be respectable with this offense to have a good season? What are you hoping for here?
Yeah, it's tough. You don't when you have like an offense that's trying to move quick, trying to score a lot of points, that puts the defense on the field a lot of times. That's how it ends up working out with the air raid. Obviously, it can't be a crutch though. You can't just have a bad defense and a really good offense. So I think they did. They went out this off season. They went and tried to get some pass rushers in there. I think last year. There's a lot of issues in terms of the, busted coverages, lack of pressure, missed tackles. But I think, one thing they can do to at least kind of address things and at least try to improve that defense and give some resistance is to have some more pass rush. And they definitely did that in the offseason, tried to address that. They got a linebacker in there as well, Joe Sipp Jr., guy who they targeted a year ago that they were able to get this offseason as well. So they've whether it's Kenyon Garner, another guy that came from the D2 level, Jay Crable from Ohio to pair with CJ Doggett, former teammates. CJ will be on the interior, Crable off the edge. Jonathan Bax comes over from TCU as well. And then those are just the guys they added. They retained Deshaun Batiste and Josh Roberts, who are arguably their best two guys off the edge last year. So there's a lot of hope that they'll be able to cycle in guys and generate pressure this year. And if they can do that, then speed things up on the opponent. Hope are that the secondary won't have to sit back in coverage in there as long as they did last year, and create less opportunities for busted coverages and blown plays. The scheme does seem a little complex. It's not the rocket science, but they run a multiple defense. So last year, there's a lot of learning to it. I think the retention all around on the defensive side of the ball too will only help that. And it's just a matter of getting that pressure on the quarterback. And if that can happen, I like the chance for improvement defensively.
Yeah, the schedule is interesting, Robbie. They open at Florida. That'll obviously be difficult. And John Stonewall's first game there. And then first conference game, Navy, right out of the gate. And then they do get a manageable stretch, FIU, Louisiana Monroe, Texas Southern. And then, the conference schedule seems pretty difficult. They have to go to Army. I mentioned the Navy game. They have to go to North Texas. They have to go to Tulsa and go to ECU along with hosting UTSA in South Florida. So what are fair expectations here in your opinion? Is getting back to a bowl game?
Yeah,
the hope?
The hope definitely is this year they can get back to bowl eligibility. Anything above 6 wins, they're playing with house money. And I think there is a chance, they potentially get 7. If things really, really go on a hot path, I think they can get up to 8. I'd say 8 is probably that ceiling. I don't necessarily know if they get to 9 wins, only 3 losses. That would be something. But I definitely would say 6 wins is definitely the goal this year. And anything above that, as I said, is definitely an intriguing sign. Just because it's been a long time. Since they've been to a bowl game, they made one under 6 wins in the COVID year with Willie Taggart. But before that, it was 2019 with Lane Kiffin. Since the last time this program played postseason ball, so it's something that they haven't had the retention like they had this year. They haven't had the talent in terms of Veltkamp and Messer at the level they're at. I don't think they've had a quarterback and a wide receiver duo like that before. So I think this is a kind of put up or shut up year for Kitley, because there'll be a new athletic director coming in. Brian White just departed to Virginia Tech, so at the end of this year too, I'm not saying Kitley's seat will be hot, but you know what happens when new athletic directors come in. They like to evaluate everything and see where it's at, and taking a program to their first bowl game since 2019 is a lot more intriguing to a new athletic director than complacency. So got to find a way to capitalize on all the retention, all the talent you've got. And I agree with you, Stephen. The schedule definitely isn't the most manageable, but I hate going game by game, but if you do that, there's the math there to get to 6 wins, and potentially a little more if you are really truly playing up to the caliber you have a chance to. So I think that ECU game, last game of the year, it could be a lot going on for FAU. It could also just be a meaningless kind of bowl game in lock for both teams at that point. It could go either way. I'm definitely keeping an eye on that USF home game. I think that's a big one. I think North Texas on the road as well. That's North Texas last year on the road. That game would have been nearly impossible. But now you're the team with retention. They have a lot of new going on. That's the game that Zach Titley needs to go on the road, win, and show that, they're here now. Like, they've retained, and this is a new era. So little things like that I'll be keeping an eye on to kind of see if, there's really a new era. But I definitely think 6 wins is attainable, and we'll see kind of how they go about getting there.
Last question for you, Robbie, and this may be tough to answer given the AD change you referenced, but what is your understanding of where FAU kind of sits in the rev share NIL landscape now after a few years in the American? Do you feel like it's improved? Are they, middle of the league? Are they getting close to the top of the league at all? And I know there's been some, some investment, especially in basketball, definitely to make some of the runs they have and consistent success. But what about football at this point?
Yeah, I definitely would say they're somewhere in the middle of the pack there. I think, there's definitely been a push post-Final Four for not just basketball, but athletics as a whole, even softball. They've gone to 2 NCAA tournaments or whatever you call it in the past 3 years, and they've been able to keep a lot of their players as well, keep the head coach with some SEC openings, and she has SEC ties. So they've definitely been making the right investments in terms of keeping players. I don't think they're approaching the top yet. I would say that's kind of out of reach at the moment. But they're definitely, they're not complacent. I think that's the biggest thing, at least with Brian White as athletic director. They were not. It'll be interesting to kind of see where they go, who they look for, and how they go about kind of, improving from here. But I'd say middle of the pack is definitely a fair range. And I think they do a good job of targeting guys that they want to keep within the budget, right? You look at basketball, they did lose a lot of guys again, but, they were able to keep Kanan Carlisle, who was, a solid guard for them. And then you go to football, they don't have endless money, but they made sure they had enough money to retain guys they wanted. So I think the people in charge of contracts and whatnot on both sides of the basketball and football are smart, and I think that's important. But yeah, definitely something to monitor with the athletic department situation, athletic director, But yeah, it'll definitely be something to watch there.
He is Robbie Listella from FAU Owls Nest. Great insight on FAU. Again, it'll be the Owls at the Pirates in late November to wrap up the regular season after Thanksgiving. Robbie, we appreciate the time, man, and the insight as always. I'm sure we'll be hitting you up again this fall, but thanks so much, man.
Of course. Thanks for having me. And yeah, definitely. I might try to get up there after Thanksgiving. We'll see. Greenville, I still need to get up there. So y'all have a great one, though, and thanks for having me on.
Let's do it, man. You got to try some Eastern North Carolina barbecue for sure. All right, he is Robbie Listella. Appreciate his insight. We'll get a break in. We'll come back. Now that we've talked to beat writers or done our own previews, like in the case of USF, we will now rank all 12 teams on ECU's schedule, all 12 games, Starting next segment from potentially easiest to the toughest. We'll break that down after this.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Every ECU fan's one stop for all things ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in segment 2 here on a Thursday, July 2nd. And we have previewed at least all 11 FBS teams on East Carolina's schedule. We never got a true North Carolina Central preview. And they, of course, will be the lone FCS team on ECU's schedule. But I feel like we have enough information at this point, Philip Pilkington, who's producing today's show, that we can power rank these games from least to toughest as far as what we know today, with the caveat of it's still July 1st and we still don't really know all that much, but we at least know enough to try this. So I've got my rankings. Philip, do you have yours? I believe what we're going to plan to do here is go 12 through 7 this segment and then 6 through 1. You ready for this?
Yeah. Yep. Sounds good. Got them ready to go.
All right. Number 12. And for me, I factored in like home and away.
Yeah, I did
like
too.
Okay. Just make sure we're on the same page there. All right. Number 12. I'll be surprised if we don't have the same game here. North Carolina
Alabama.
Central.
Oh, wow. Okay. I guess we went opposite ends of the spectrum here.
North Carolina Central, by the way, they have honestly been a good team for a while now under Trey Oliver. 10-2, 9-3, 8-3, 8-4 these last 4 years. But to give some perspective, last year their lone FBS game at Old Dominion, they lost 54-6. In 2024, their lone FBS game against North Carolina, they lost 45-10. They did not play an FCS game in 22, but in 23, excuse me, in the 24, they played at UCLA, lost 59-7. So they have not competed in their FBS games. I don't think they'll be they're not going to be a rollover FCS team, but I'm expecting this to be a W. So I think we can move on, unless you want to add anything.
No,
Okay. North Carolina Central. If we get another bring me my money situation, look, I'll never take any game for granted after that, but it'll be bad. All right. At number 11 for me, I have at Charlotte. And this scares me a little bit because of what happened the last time ECU played at Charlotte, but just talking to Hunter Bailey, I think he was pretty real. And, I know Tim Album's had success, Phillip, but I don't know, man. I'm just looking at their roster, their depth chart, and it sounds messy there. New AD coming in, or I guess going into his first year with Albin as the head coach, and I get the vibes that it's not real great right now at Charlotte for football.
Yeah, I mean, I think Albin's a good coach, but he was at a place formerly where they were funded, upper middle half of the conference. Look, Hunter was honest with us. They're probably last in funding or damn near last. The money that is coming in is going to basketball. The fan base is excited to have a football team, but they're not going to invest in football with putting in any basketball in any sort of jeopardy. That's just how it works there. That's how it's going to be. And they're just not a great football roster. It's nothing against the coach. It's nothing against the donors. That's what they care to be good in, but it is what it is.
Do you have Charlotte 11 as well?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So we are both on one accord thus far. Number 10 for me, I've got the home conference opener against the Rice Owls at number 10. Rice, again, I'm a huge fan of Scott Abel, their head coach. And the one thing that worries me about them is their unique offense. They run the option. But the one thing I like about ECU in this situation is they have a bye right before this game. And Ja'Curry Brown, while I do think he's a better fit for the option, he's been in college for 14 years, it feels like. So I don't know how good he'll do at Rice. I think they'll be improved. I think they'll challenge for a bowl game. But I think this is a game ECU needs to win. So they're my number 10. What about you?
I get where you're coming from with the off of bye and everything. I think whatever's going on down in Birmingham's a dumpster fire. I don't think they have it figured out. So I got UAB at 10.
And I have UAB at 9. I went back and forth on 9 and 10. I will say the UAB game being Thursday night on the road, short week, is probably what led to Rice being 10 for me, UAB being 9. Also, I kind of like the fact that Mortensen, even though it wasn't a sexy hire, I like it better than when they hired Trent Dilfer. And I just feel like he's going to be a guy thankful for the job. They do return a quarterback that kind of finished as a quarterback playing down the stretch last year in Ryder Burton. So, again, not incredibly well-funded program. Another game ECU should win, but I have UAB at number 9.
Yeah, my number 9 I have is FAU. This is a team who, like we just heard from Robbie, could contend for a bowl game, but late in the season at home, I just wonder, this is one of those, is ECU going to be playing for a conference championship bid still at this point? FAU might be sitting kind of at 4-7. Wheels may have fallen off this late in the season. It's at home. Thanksgiving week. How much does FAU usually head into it? So I got the Owls.
I have FAU number 8. FAU, I look at this, how many teams in the league have a proven quarterback and a 1,000-yard receiver coming back?
Nobody.
Not many at all. So I do like that. And maybe going 4-8 was a blessing in disguise for them because nobody tried to poach their roster. So they have some legit returners. But watching them in person last year versus ECU, when ECU just played any sort of physical football, it was a no contest, man. That was a men versus boys game. And yes, this ECU team is much different, but the culture, I believe, will still be the same. And as you mentioned, late season in Greenville, probably won't be the best crowd in the world, but it'll be cold. And I think ECU, we could see a carbon copy. Maybe not that dominant because I think FAU will be better, but just in terms of the physical play. So I have FAU number 8. What about you?
Yeah, so going into town with my number 8, I have App State. Still, I know this is tough. It's tough to put them at number 8 because this is we'll be coming off the Bama game and all of that, but I think we're going to come out juiced. And, man, it seems like the last, 3 or 4 seasons at App, they've just kind of become another program. They're not what they used to be.
I really struggled on where to put App for the reasons you mentioned. I have them at 7, and I had them at one point as low as 10 and as high as 5. And then the more I thought about it, like, I think if we take the history of ECU App out of it, the recent history that we know, like, App has not been that good recently. And I think if ECU just plays to its potential and doesn't overhype this game, yeah, they should get hyped for it. They should want revenge, all that good stuff. In this rev share era, I don't know how good App State is going to be consistently. Now, they still have great culture. They have great tradition, great history. But, the Loggins hire was strange to me. It just feels off. Maybe they are much improved this year. But I do have them as well at number 7. And I think you can make a case like yourself to have them even lower. So I think that's a fair point. All right, number 7 for you.
Yeah, just real quick with App. I think part of it's almost too in the rev share era, Stephen, is like half their student body just stepped right out of Woodstock and will never donate or care or anything like that. I mean, every school has students that don't become sports fans, but I feel like it's maybe even a little more dramatic there. Number 7, we do have the bottom 6 are all the same for us. I got food coming in at number 7. The reason why I didn't have them lower on the list is because facing option teams at home has kind of been the kryptonite for ECU. It scares me a little bit. Yes, we do have the bye, which is good, but still early in the season, these option teams don't seem as beat up sometimes. So that's why I put Rice as high as I did. And also, man, I really think this is a team, they made the bowl game last year, right, on some whack stuff. Weren't they the 5-win team that got in, if I remember correctly? I think this is probably
baby.
Yeah, I think this might be a 6 to 7 win team this year. So that's why I put them there at 7.
I think both Owls that we have up here, Rice and FAU, could be much improved. Of course, there'll be another Owls in our top 6, which we'll see where we rank the Temple Owls. ECU getting all 3 Owls in the American Conference this year in league play. All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We'll have 6 through 1. I'm pretty sure we both have the same number 1, but we'll find out. I am intrigued to see where we have the rest of these teams: Alabama, USF, Memphis, ODU, Army, and Temple. How we rank those top 6. We'll have that for you after this.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
In Eastern North Carolina, people appreciate things that are straightforward, honest, and dependable. For decades, our team has focused on cutting through insurance complexity for the communities we serve. And now, we're bringing that same mindset to our name. We're Flatlands Insurance Group, a simpler name that reflects the same local team, the same values, and the same commitment to the great communities we feel blessed to be a part of. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world is covered.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Hoist the sail! Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors. Ahoy, the Hearties! Back to Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Segment 3 here, hoist the colors on a Thursday, July 2nd. We are power ranking ECU's football games in terms of least difficult to most difficult on paper as we know them today. July 2nd. We did our first 6. I had NC Central at Charlotte, Rice at UAB, FAU, and App State in segment 1 in that order for my 12 through 7. Philip had the same teams in a slightly different order with Rice coming in at number 7. And now we move on to 6 through 1. All right, Philip, let's keep this rolling. At 6, I've got Temple. This is another game last year in Philly. Watching it unfold, I'm like, ECU looks like the superior team. Again, much different ECU team. A lot of change. Now you got KC Keeler coming in, second year. I think they'll improve. We know he can win at a high level. But the game being at home matters to me. I think this is a game at home ECU can't afford to lose if they want to have the season they want to have. So still not an easy game, but a game the Pirates should win, having it at number 6.
Yeah, I took kind of a weird route here, and there's no disrespect to this team, but I kind of have a feeling Temple's going to make a huge jump this year. I think they're back to Temple tough. So I got the Monarchs here, ODU. I still think it's going to be a tough contest on the road. It was tough a couple years ago, but I do think this is one of those things. This East Carolina team is built to really beat mediocre to solid teams, and I think this is a mediocre to solid team, but I think after playing Alabama, we're going to be battle-tested. Really, we're going to have a good win against App, and we're going to come in with our ears pinned back, just ready to BTA.
I've got ODU at number 5. You know, Ricky Ronnie coming off a really good year, and seasons before that, they were always competitive. They were always solid, but just couldn't seem to win the close games. You know, we talked about it with David Hall. Last year they won the close games. And they're kind of in a similar situation to ECU. One of their best seasons in recent memory, really good bowl win. They lose their offensive coordinator. They lose their quarterback. They lose almost everyone in the portal or to graduation. So they're restarting. I have more faith, honestly, in Blake Harrell, despite being a shorter-term head coach than Ricky Ronnie, to rebuild things, A, because of the support system in place here, but also, B, just Coach Harrell's ability to, you know, cobble things together and get everybody on one accord, as we saw when he took over as interim coach. But I'm expecting ODU to take a step back this season. Still, this is a game that ODU gets up for in Norfolk. Like, even their subpar teams have played ECU tough. Not that those ECU teams that went there were great, but I'm expecting a dogfight, and I think it's going to be a challenging game. I have that at number 5. Philip, you?
Yeah, Temple at 5 for me. You know, even though Evan Simon graduated, I don't know. It just seems like they've kind of laid the foundation, and they're on the come up. I think this might be a 7-win team. I haven't looked at their entire schedule, but I think they're at least 7-win team talent-wise on paper. And I think this might be one of those that they know they've got an opportunity to make a statement on national TV, and they're going to show up. I think obviously East Carolina wins, but it wouldn't surprise me if this is kind of like a ECU scores late to win it by 2 scores kind of dogfight.
Temple.
Oh, never mind. It's not national TV. It's a Halloween night, I guess, isn't it? I don't know why I said national TV. They used to come here on Thursday night. It seemed like a Halloween week every year when I was in school, but that's not it.
Rhode Island, Penn State at Toledo, Army at USF, UConn, Charlotte at ECU, at Navy, UAB, Rice at Memphis.
Wow,
I could
that's
see
a
6 or
gauntlet.
7 there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty tough. But I still think, pull it out, make a bowl,
Can they beat Penn State at home?
dude. Oh, at home?
Yeah, they're playing in Lincoln Financial.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I mean, shoot. Well, I don't know, man. James Franklin's not coaching. If James Franklin was coaching, they'd probably lose. Too big of an arena.
That's true. All right, this is the top 4. This is where it gets interesting. I think these, on paper at least, are clearly the toughest games. I've got the home game here as number 4. I've got South Florida. You can make an argument kind of stacking these games or wherever. We did the preview the other day. USF, gobs of money. We know that. But just all the unknown here, Heartline, coordinators she's never worked with, a lot of new players, a lot of new pieces, and you're playing at home on a Friday night. I'm expecting a good turnout from the student section. I'm going to put this at number 4. I think if this was in Tampa, maybe it's higher, but I have it at 4. What about you, Philip?
Yeah, I think a little bit of it being at home, but man, after we did the deep dive, maybe I'm not as high on them as I thought I was going to be. I mean, money should buy wins, right? And, theoretically, with all the money they got, this shouldn't be a conversation. They should be the clear-cut second hardest game, but I just don't know how it was spent. 2 new coordinators. I don't know, man. They're going to be good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're not going to be good. I'm not saying they're not going to contend for a conference title. I'm not ever trying to make hot takes, but are they as sexy as they should be? I say no. And they should be like a 9 when they're walking down the beach, but really they're like a 7.
I do feel like with new staffs coming together, Philip, and we got some time here, so I just wanted to comment on this. New staffs coming together, it's hard to just build an entire football team in a 1 month span and hit on everything. I just feel like the hit rate, and this is why usually first year coaches, it takes time. Because you're trying to figure out what your staff needs, you're trying to figure out what players fit where. You could have a lot of money, that doesn't mean you're going to hit on how you spin it. And maybe they will, but I just feel like there's going to be a lot of moving parts here.
I think so. I'm with you.
Yep. All right, number 3. We all have road games here. I've got at Memphis, number 3 for me. Speaking of money, speaking of new staffs, although with Charles Huff coming in, he is no stranger to this. And this is why I have Memphis ahead of South Florida, because he did this last year at Southern Miss and turned a pretty dormant program back into a bowl contender, CUSA contender. I think he's going to do that pretty quickly with Memphis. I have questions a little bit about the quarterback situation with Marcus Stokes, and they have some new undefined pieces elsewhere, but I'm going Memphis number 3. Always a tough place to play.
Yeah, it is.
You're number 3.
Yeah, and I mean, everything you said, but I think I'm going to maybe comment more on number 2 as to why I have number 2 ahead of number 3 might be more of the conversation. So,
okay, Army is number 2 for me as well, and I mean it's West Point. It's November 21st. You're playing a game right off the Hudson River near Thanksgiving. This is going to be a tough game, man. This Army could be fighting for a championship. ECU could be fighting for a championship. This could be an awesome game. I hope both teams live up to the hype. Phil Still's got them ranked right next to each other in the conference standings. But I think if this game was early on the calendar, maybe it's not as high on the power rankings. But with it being where it is, I have it number 2.
Cold is one thing. You know what another thing is, Steven? You got any friends who are teachers? And you know how those friends who are teachers always say, man, right before break, those kids are getting a little rowdy. They're getting excited. Well, West Point, they're not allowed to go home until Thanksgiving. And this is the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And all the students are required to go to every home football game. The cadets will be amped up for this one. Like you said, there will probably be a conference title bid on the line. This is going to be a tough game. It's going to be colder than, which is what that I probably can't say on the radio. And that's not going to play into ECU's favor. So I got Army at number 2.
All right, Army at number 2.
As Mary, whose brother is going to Army this year, sits off camera and shakes her head yes.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is, last time I was at Army, I remember vividly interviewing Mike Houston for the last time before he was fired. So I'm hoping for better better memories this time. I really enjoyed my time in West Point outside of the fact that ECU just got absolutely steamrolled. Mike Houston was fired and had to pull off the road to the Starbucks the next day on the way back. All right, number one, of course, it's going to be Alabama. I was listening to a podcast earlier today, Philip. This was like an Arkansas team preview, Cover 3 podcast, and they were saying that I guess the average, like the medium amount of roster cap in the SEC, they were talking about how Arkansas is spending $25-30 million this year, and that's like in the middle of the SEC for their roster. So if that's the middle, I mean, what do you think Alabama's spending? 50, 60 million? I mean, this stuff, has gotten out of hand. But, I mean, they're spending almost like an NFL salary cap. So, I don't know. It's getting crazy. Either way, ECU's probably spending around $5 million. Bama probably spending upwards of 40 in the 50 million range, if I had to guess. Any quick research there?
No, I was actually going to look. I was looking up what the NHL salary cap was. It's grown a lot higher than I thought, and thinking they might be actually spending as much as an NHL team, but that's up to 104. But I can look at that.
So I just looked. So estimated 37 million, although some reports are saying 45 million.
I think both those numbers are sandbag crap numbers. There's no way in hell it's 37 and 45. It's not right either, I don't think.
Yeah, so either way, they're spending a ton of money. You're getting paid $1.5 million to go play the game. You have no business winning it in reality. That said, crazier things have happened. Alabama's going to be breaking a new quarterback. It's going to be 11 a.m. Central. None of their fans are going to want to be there. And I'm giving the Pirates at least a very small chance. But it's not. It wouldn't be the most impossible upset in college football history is what I'm trying to say.
No, it wouldn't be. I mean, obviously everybody turns to the App one in the Big House. Obviously wouldn't top that. There's probably been a handful of others I just can't think of off the top of my head right now that have been.
I mean, even App went to A&M and won when. Now, A&M ended up not being very good, but I think they were like number 4 at the time, and that's when App hosted game day the next week and almost lost to Troy.
I mean,
look, it's doable, just not likely.
Yeah, I mean, you could honestly make an argument, Stephen, and I understand ECU's not coming to this game ranked number 11 in the country, but you could almost make an argument that going back to the 07 Fiesta Bowl, like, that would even maybe be a bigger upset just because it was the Fiesta Bowl. It was so late in the season. Adrian Peterson, all that. Like, in Oklahoma's Oklahoma kind of deal. Like, you could honestly make an argument that even Boise State pulling that off, obviously, that's kind of what laid the foundation for Boise State. Would even be bigger than the ECU one. And that's, like I said, that's just a compliment to what Blake Harrell has done and the fact that this team has played power opponents and won, in recent years, each of the last 2 seasons, as opposed to, that team who had been playing, the WAC.
I'm looking at Phil Steele. I got the Phil Steele magazine here. The 3 teams he's got picked at the top of the league, he's got Navy, UTSA, Tulane. He's got ECU and Army tied for 4th. ECU doesn't play any of those 3 teams, Navy, UTSA, Tulane. He's got Memphis, South Florida at 6 and 7. I feel like any of those 7 teams could win the league. And I think I would throw in Temple and FAU as a dark horse. It's just, I have to make a vote here in the unofficial American Conference Bowl, Philip, because the league has done away with it, which is a whole other conversation we could go on.
Sort of the writers getting into it, and you guys are doing one together now.
So Matthew Bartlett from the Roost, who we had on the show, Rice Site, he puts together the unofficial media poll. And I have zero idea who I'm going to pick to win. Like, I want to pick UTSA just because they got McCown back, but we know they can't win on the road, although this year their road games are Rice, FAU, UAB, and Tulane, and they get South Florida, Navy, North Texas, and Tulsa at home. So they have a favorable schedule.
They do.
The Tulane game presents challenges. And then Navy's got a favorable schedule outside of going to UTSA, but they lose Horvath. They have a new quarterback. So at least Woodson has played a little bit, but he's not Horvath.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
The tough thing for them is that they've got less time to get it figured out, too, because they always play some conference games early.
Yep, and we talked about the Army game against South Florida. How about week 2, Army at FAU? I'm kind of intrigued Navy at FAU. I'm kind of intrigued by that game. Like, that's going to be an early season test for the midshipmen against a team that can probably at the least score points.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. Yeah, so that's going to be tough because, like you said, returning a 1,000-yard receiver, probably the second best returning quarterback in the conference there. Gosh, yeah, that's interesting. And then, I think the dark horse in this whole thing, man, is Tulane. Is Tulane really going to hit on a coach again? Like, law of averages says you make a bad hire every now and again, but hell, I don't know.
I know. Yep, and a lot of turnover there. All right, we got to get a break in. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show after this. Hoist the colors.
The power of savings is yours at Greenville Toyota with powerful deals on our huge selection of new Toyotas, like a Camry, $229 a month, or the all-new RAV4, $279. Don't miss the power of savings at Greenville Toyota.
In Eastern North Carolina, hard work matters, and it always has. At Flatlands Insurance Group, we've been showing up for our neighbors since 1963, helping families and business owners navigate change, weather tough seasons, and keep moving forward. Decades later, our purpose hasn't changed: to help protect what you've poured your time and energy to, from your home to your health to whatever comes next. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world covered.
Need cash for a vacation? National Finance Company is here to help. For over 50 years, National Finance Company has been the small loan specialist with loans from $1,000 to $5,000 with low payments to meet your budget. We're in the business of getting you the cash you need today. Apply online for a loan at one of our convenient branch offices and get your money as fast as today. It's easy. Get the vacation cash you need. For extra cash, visit nfcmoney.com.
Your future is full of possibilities, and Pitt Community College can help you explore every option. You can earn a degree, learn a trade, transfer to a university, or launch a new career. We offer the support you need to succeed with flexible schedules, affordable tuition, and programs designed for the real world. Your path, your future, your college. Pitt Community College. Register now.
Visit Larry's Steakhouse for a tender, hand-cut certified Angus ribeye. Other entrees include perfectly seasoned pork chops, chicken, or seafood favorites like shrimp, tuna, and salmon. Complement your meal with Larry's fresh 20-plus item salad bar, or enjoy it as an all-you-can-eat entree. Daily rotating favorites include meatloaf, chicken pastry, hamburger steak, spaghetti, pork chops, and more, all complemented with your favorite country sides. Whether it's for lunch, dinner, or our Sunday brunch, remember to support and eat local. Larry's Steakhouse.
The hunting and fishing event of the summer comes to the Greenville Convention Center, July 11th and 12th, bringing together the best hunting and fishing vendors, outfitters, and fishing experts, all under one roof. Special free events, including a mountain trout pond, indoor archery range, offshore fishing experience, interactive duck blind, and free seminars. Don't miss it. The Mid-Atlantic Hunting and Fishing Expo is July 11th and 12th.
With new Toyota trucks from $259 a month, you've got the power of savings at Greenville Toyota. Drive Tacomas $259 a month or Tundras only $399 a month at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
Like all pirates, Stephen Igo is loyal and bold. He may also have a touch of scurvy. Back to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. Final few minutes of the show. Final segment of the season for me. And tomorrow on Friday, July 3rd, Philip Pilkington will be hosting alongside Bobby Harward, and Dom Kasolgi will be producing. So, Philip, no pressure, man. You got to take us home for the season finale. You ready for that?
Yeah, so when we were talking about the Chris Johnson thing the other day, I can't remember which commenter it was, commented that CJ2K needs a statue outside of Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium. So it'll be fun, kind of a final wrap-up show with the big question to you and the listeners. And what we will be debating is if you could put one coach to get a statue outside of Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium, this is specifically a football segment, and one player, who would you pick? So that's going to be kind of our fun little free-for-all Friday wrapping up, and then we'll talk, World Cup and whatever the hell else we're going to talk about. I don't know.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. I'll be tuned in. I'll have to submit my text submission I'll be up in Boston for some family time with Erica's side of the family, but I'll have to send in my texts for player and coach statue. Got some thoughts on that, but should be fun. It's been an awesome season, Philip. I think our show has continued to grow. 94.3, the game, our social channels, our YouTube platform. Getting it out on the podcast. We continue to see our audience expanding. Obviously, we couldn't do this without the commenters. I mean, we can't do sports talk radio if nobody wants to listen to us talk about sports. So we're lucky to do what we do, man. We have a blast doing it. And thank you to you, obviously, for always doing a little bit of everything, man, behind the scenes, not only producing, but providing insight on whatever I need to throw it to kill some time. You're always there.
I appreciate it. Yeah, man. It's hard to believe, Steven. We had that quasi little short season. This is our third full year. It's hard to believe. Time's flying by. It's been a lot of fun. Like I said, the commenters drive this thing, man. I mean, just, there's so many times we could get on here and we run out of stuff to say, and then you guys throw us a big question, so that helps. And always thanks, Steven, for keeping me up to date on ECU stuff, because you do a good job keeping up with that, allowing me to keep up with stuff like golf and soccer and Major League Baseball.
No doubt, always a ton of fun. Our plan is to be back in August, either Monday, August 3rd or Monday, August 10th. I haven't made the official decision on that. I may wait to see how things break in July. But obviously, we'll be off through July. Make sure to stay tuned, obviously, to Friday's show, but also to Pirates and the Pros that Philip and Dom will be doing throughout the month of July. And we'll have, I'm sure, social media stuff ongoing on 94.3 The Game as well. Media Days coming up in late July too, and keep it locked on hoistthecolors.net as well, as we'll have the latest information all summer long. Appreciate everybody once again. Thanks to all the commenters. Thanks to Philip Pilkington. Thanks to Robbie Stella from FAU Owl's Nest. We'll see you in August, and Philip and Bobby will see you on Friday's show. Thanks for listening.